If your Excel file feels weirdly slow, conditional formatting duplicates might be the hidden cause. The tricky part is you can have rules that look identical, but Excel still evaluates each one. That means extra calculation, extra memory, and more chances for formatting to behave inconsistently. You might notice lag when scrolling, delays when typing, or the file size creeping up for no clear reason. And because conditional formatting is often applied to large ranges, the slowdown multiplies fast. The good news is, you can clean this up without breaking your visuals. You just need a simple way to spot duplicates, understand why they appear, and then consolidate rules safely. In this walkthrough, you'll learn a reliable cleanup process you can reuse on any workbook. The goal is not to remove conditional formatting. The goal is to keep the same results with fewer rules. That's how you get speed and stability back. Next step. Let's define what duplicate rules really means in Excel. It's not only two rules with the same formula. It can also be two rules with the same condition, the same format, and overlapping ranges. Excel stores these as separate objects, so it checks them separately. Another common duplicate is the same rule copied to many small ranges, instead of one clean range. You also get near duplicates, where the formula is the same idea, but shifted because it was copied from a different starting cell. And then there are duplicates created by editing, like changing a rule, then undoing, then reapplying. The result is a rule list that grows quietly over time. The workbook still works, so nobody notices, until it becomes slow or unpredictable. Once you understand that duplicates can be range-based, not just formula-based, the cleanup becomes much easier to do safely. Next step. Why do these duplicates happen so often? The biggest reason is copy and paste. When you copy a cell with conditional formatting, Excel often brings the rule along, and it may create a new rule instead of reusing the old one. The second reason is inserting rows or columns. That can split and applies to range into multiple fragments, and later you add another rule on top. Third, people use Format Painter, which is basically a rule duplicator if you're not careful. Fourth, workbooks passed between many people tend to accumulate rules because each person adds just one more highlight. And finally, importing data from other files can bring in extra conditional formatting you didn't ask for. None of this is malicious. It's just how Excel behaves. The key is to treat conditional formatting like code. It needs occasional refactoring to stay fast and predictable. Next step. Now let's connect duplicates to performance, because the slowdown is not imaginary. Conditional formatting is evaluated whenever Excel recalculates or redraws the sheet. Each rule is a test, and Excel runs that test across every cell in the applied range. So if you have 10 duplicate rules applied to 50,000 cells, that's a lot of repeated work. It gets worse when rules use volatile functions like today, now, offset, or indirect, because those force more frequent recalculation. It also gets worse when rules reference whole columns like AAA instead of a tight range. Another performance hit comes from complex formulas like multiple nested if statements inside the rule. You don't need to fear conditional formatting, but you do want fewer rules, smaller ranges, and simpler formulas. That combination usually produces the biggest speed improvement without changing the spreadsheet's design. Next step. Before you delete anything, take a safe approach. First, save a backup copy of the workbook. Conditional formatting changes are easy to regret because the problems might appear later, not immediately. Second, decide what correct formatting means. If the file is shared, ask which highlights are essential and which are cosmetic. Third, identify the highest impact sheets, usually dashboards, transaction lists, or anything with tens of thousands of rows. Fourth, note if the workbook uses tables, pivot tables, or structured references, because those affect how ranges expand. And fifth, check whether conditional formatting is used for data quality rules, like flagging blanks or duplicates. Those are often critical. The mindset here is simple. You're not doing a cleanup to make it pretty. You're doing it to make it reliable and fast. A careful setup step prevents breaking a report that people depend on. Next step. Here's the core place to audit rules. The Conditional Formatting Rules Manager. The most important setting there is the scope. You can view rules for the current selection, the current worksheet, or the entire workbook. If you only look at current selection, you'll miss the bigger mess. Switch to this worksheet when cleaning a sheet, and use this workbook when you suspect rules are scattered everywhere. Next, pay attention to two columns: the rule description and the applies to range. Duplicates often reveal themselves as repeated descriptions with slightly different ranges. Also, watch the order of rules. If stop if true is used, duplicates can change which format wins. Your goal in this step is not to edit yet. It's to identify patterns, repeated rules, fragmented ranges, and rules that cover far more cells than needed. That map tells you what to consolidate first. Next step. A fast win is fixing fragmented applies to ranges. Fragmentation means one logical rule is applied to many separate blocks, like $A$, $D$ 1000, plus $1002, D$ 5000, and so on. Excel then has to manage multiple segments, and you'll often see duplicates appear during edits. The cleanup move is to consolidate those segments into one continuous range when that makes sense. If the data is a consistent list, a single range is usually best. If there are intentional gaps, keep separate ranges, but still remove overlaps. Overlaps are especially wasteful because the same cell gets evaluated multiple times. When you consolidate, keep the rule logic exactly the same. Only adjust the applies to field. This step alone can reduce the number of rule entries dramatically, and fewer entries means less chance of conflicting formats later. Think of it as merging duplicate paragraphs into one clean sentence. Next step. Next, consolidate truly duplicate rules. The safest method is to pick one good version of the rule, then expand its applies to range to cover the full intended area. After that, delete the extra copies. The reason this order matters is you keep a working rule in place at all times. When comparing duplicates, check three things: the condition or formula, the format settings, and whether the rule type matches. For example, cell value greater than and a formula that does the same comparison can look similar but behave differently with blanks. Also check relative references in formulas. A rule like E2 equals overdue depends on where the applied range starts. If you expand the range, make sure the reference still points to the correct row or column. If you're unsure, test on a small section first. Consolidation is where you get the biggest reduction in rule count and usually the biggest speed gain. Next step. Now let's talk about rule order, because cleanup can accidentally change results. Excel evaluates conditional formatting rules from top to bottom. If multiple rules apply to the same cell, later rules can overwrite earlier formats. Stop if true changes that behavior by preventing lower rules from running. Duplicates often hide order problems because they create extra layers. When you remove duplicates, you might reveal that the remaining rules need a better sequence. A practical approach is to group rules by purpose. Put data quality warnings first, like missing values or invalid entries. Put status highlights next, like overdue or completed. Put cosmetic shading last, like banded rows or light emphasis. Then use stop if true only when you truly want a hard priority. Overusing it can make debugging painful. The goal is predictable outcomes. When rule order is clean, you spend less time wondering why a cell randomly changed color after a minor edit. Next step. A big performance improvement comes from tightening your ranges. Many workbooks apply rules to entire columns, like $A, because it feels convenient. But that forces Excel to evaluate the rule for over 1 million cells, even if you only use a few thousand rows. A better pattern is to apply rules to the actual used range, plus a reasonable buffer for growth. If you're working with an Excel table, apply the rule to the table column, because it expands automatically as new rows are added. If you're not using tables, consider applying the rule to a defined range that matches expected data size. Also, avoid applying rules to blank areas just in case. Blank cells still get evaluated. Tight ranges reduce calculation load and make rule auditing easier. This is one of those changes that feels small, but it often transforms how responsive a workbook feels during everyday use. Next step. Let's simplify rule formulas because duplicates aren't the only problem. Even one heavy rule can slow a sheet if it's applied widely. Start by avoiding volatile functions inside conditional formatting when possible. Today and now are common in deadline rules, but they recalc frequently. If you can, put the date value in a single helper cell and reference that cell instead. Next, avoid indirect and offset unless you truly need them. They are flexible but expensive. Also, try to replace complex nested if logic with simpler Boolean tests. Conditional formatting formulas already return true or false, so you often don't need an if at all. For example, instead of if a2.false a2.0, you can use and a2.a2s.0 with correct syntax for blanks. The goal is fewer calculations per cell. When formulas are simpler, Excel recalculates faster, and the rules are easier to maintain. Next step. Sometimes duplicates keep coming back, and it's usually because of how the sheet is edited. If people frequently copy rows from other workbooks, they may be importing conditional formatting each time. One fix is to paste values only, then reapply formatting intentionally. Another cause is copying entire columns that include conditional formatting rules with broad ranges. If you need consistent formatting, consider building a clean template area and copying from that, rather than copying from random rows. Also watch for merged cells and inconsistent data regions, because they lead to fragmented ranges after inserts and deletes. If the sheet is a repeating process, using an Excel table can reduce rule chaos, because the applies to range stays structured. The big idea is to reduce formatting drift. You want the workbook to resist accumulating junk as people use it. A clean rule set is not a one-time repair. Next step. After cleanup, do a quick validation pass so you trust the result. First, spot check key scenarios. A row that should be highlighted, a row that should not, and edge cases like blanks or zeros. Second, test common actions that used to feel slow, like scrolling a large list, filtering, and entering data in the busiest columns. Third, open the Rules Manager again and confirm the rule count is lower and the applies to ranges look intentional. Fourth, check for conflicting formats, like two different font colors being applied depending on rule order. And fifth, save, close, and reopen the file. That catches issues that only show up after Excel reloads the workbook. If something changed unexpectedly, don't panic. Restore from your backup, then redo the cleanup in smaller steps. The goal is confidence. You want a workbook that behaves the same, just faster and easier to maintain. Next step. To wrap it up, conditional formatting is powerful, but it needs occasional maintenance. When rules duplicate, Excel does extra work and your file can slow down in ways that are hard to diagnose. The practical fix is consistent. Audit rules at the worksheet or workbook level. Consolidate fragmented ranges. Merge true duplicates. Tighten applies to areas, and simplify heavy formulas. Then set up habits that prevent duplicates from creeping back in. If you do this once on a problem workbook, you'll feel the difference immediately in day-to-day use. And you'll also reduce the risk of strange formatting conflicts that waste time later. If you want more Excel performance cleanups like this, subscribe. And for a quick check-in, comment with your experience. Do you usually find duplicates caused by copy-paste, or by inserting rows and columns, A or B? Small tweaks compound into massive performance gains. Subscribe to catch the next workflow optimization.